This tutorial is to help you with Section 2.1, Part B, numbers 30 to 34, and also Section 2.1, Part C, numbers 22 to 25, which is coincidentally your life plan, Part 2. Now notice in Life Plan Part 2 it says that you should go to your life plan document, and down at the bottom press Sheet 2. Just as a quick reminder, to do that you can come down here, press Sheet 2, and it'll give you another sheet to work on for your life plan. I have not connected mine with my life plan because I'm showing 2.1 as well. So here is my spreadsheet document. I've quickly organized it. You can also do this on your life plan by highlighting the cells for your table and then coming up here and choosing your borders. I like to choose all borders so that it outlines what I'm working with. Then over here, time and years, beginning balance, interest earned, and ending balance. Now I left a blank here because I like to call this the principal. The principal from, because that's what it's called in 108. And then this I just called interest in 108. They don't necessarily define it as interest earned. And this one they call the amount or the amount final or the balance as well. So I just wanted to throw that in there for those of you who are planning, which hopefully all of you are, into going to 108. Now over here I also haven't filled out everything to show you something kind of nice. If I highlight, I type a 1 in and then I type a 2 and then I highlight both of these. Now that's a one left click, hold it and pull down and unclick. That says to Excel that I've created a pattern that I want it to recognize. Then I move my mouse down into the right corner. I'm not doing anything. Excel automatically recognizes that I'm down in the right corner and I get my crosshairs or this little plus sign. Once I'm down there, I left click and hold and then pull, and it will recognize my pattern. You can see it's filling in my cells. On the right it's telling you what those cells are, and just pull it down and then lift your finger off the click and it fills in the years for you. Another way of doing that is creating so for the second example, so this was in the first example, this is the second one, I could create a formula to have it calculate for me. It's the same difference, it doesn't matter. Here I start with 1, so I have to start with something. In the next one I'll say I want this to equal, I want it to calculate something. Excel works like a calculator if you tell it to, and pressing equals tells Excel I want you to calculate something for me. And then instead of typing a 1, we do a cell reference. So I move to my next cell that I want to calculate with, and I left click once and it says please reference the number in this cell. So I click that button and so it's going to say equals, it's like working like a calculator, equals 1, and then I just want to add 1 all the way down and then press enter to get out of that, and it calculates it for you. Now in this case I don't need to highlight the pattern, I need to highlight the formula. So I'm going to click in my formula cell where I've said add the cell above the cell I'm in and add it to 1 to give me my current cell. And then I bring my crosshairs down here, just moving my cursor over, one left click on the bottom right hand corner and pull it down, and it's going to copy that pattern or that formula over and over, and it's going to add 1 to the cell above it. And there we go. So we have two different ways of filling in the time and years. Over here I'm not going to pick a number that will be on the homework in 2.1 or the life plan. We're just going to pick some random number. So let's say I have $750. Alright, now the interest, let's put our numbers over here. So I'm starting with $700 and we'll pick an interest of something crazy like 8%. That would be awesome. So here, if I want to find the interest is a part of the principal, and I want this to calculate for me. To get it to calculate, we press equals. Now I want 8% of the principal, or the beginning balance. So I'm going to press 0.08. The reason I did 0.08 is it's a percent, and to change it to the decimal, you move the decimal over 2 units or 2 spaces to the right, put your decimal, and that gets rid of the percent sign. Now I need to multiply that to my principal or my beginning balance. So I press my multiplication sign, which if you're looking at your number pad is up in the right hand corner next to the subtraction sign. If you don't have that and you're on a laptop without the number pad, you can press Shift 8 to get the multiplication. So 0.08 times, now I'm going to do a cell reference, left click in the cell over here, press enter, and it calculates it for me. I will have earned $60 in interest this first year, and by the way, I did years up here. If you wanted to type years down here, it would continue to go with you when you click and drag. Okay, so $60. So my final amount, or my ending balance, I want it to calculate for me, so I'm going to press equals, left click once to add up what I have in my account, which was my beginning balance, plus left click once in my interest, and it will add those two cells together and give me a final amount of $810. Now I need to cell reference it over here for year 2. The starting balance is the end balance from the first year, so equals this amount over here. Don't type it in, because then you're going to have to type it in every time, but if I do a cell reference, it just automatically puts it in for me. Now let's try this one again. To do the interest, we equals 0.08 times, it was 8%, times my principal or my beginning balance. Press enter, and it calculates it for you. Then again, the final amount, we want it to calculate, so we press equals, and then I'm going to add this to this. Now some of you are thinking there's another way of doing that, and that's true. Microsoft Excel has a function called, or a built-in function called sum. So I could do sum as well. I type in sum, and then I put a parenthesis, and then I left click here and drag over here, holding it down to tell it which cells I want to add or sum together, and then left unclick your left click, so it just highlights those two cells, and close the parentheses. So we have two ways of adding columns or rows. Press enter, and there's my ending balance. Now the reason I did a second row here is that this is referencing this cell up here. Now every cell here is good to go, and I can highlight, left click here, hold it down, and pull it over, highlighting that row, and if I want to drag all of these down, it'll fill in the entire section for me, and I don't have to do it over and over and over. Those of you who are using paper and calculator and paper, you're going to have to calculate it over and over. Excel will take it for you. So I'm going to drag my cursor over here and just hover it above it. I'm not clicking. Now I'm going to left click once I get my crosshairs or my plus sign and pull it all the way down. It's asking for 12 years. Unclick, and there we go. Now some of you are thinking, hey, that doesn't look like money. So I can left click and highlight all of my cells, right click and press Format Cells. Sorry, it's taking a minute to bring it up, and it'll bring up what I can do, and I'm going to press Currency. There we go. Now I have all these numbers. Okay, let's try the second example. This one eliminates the interest earned column by going straight to the ending balance. I'm going to use my same amounts, doing $700. So I'm going to do 700, and I'll go back and format my cells just like I did previously. I could format them right now, but I'm not worried about it. The ending balance, this one I need to calculate by taking my principal or the beginning balance. Oops, I didn't put principal in here. Sorry, principal. And this one is the final amount. The reason we do that is in Math 108 you'll learn a formula that will give you the final amount at the end. So it's kind of nice to see where the principal and amount are. You don't have to memorize that for now. I just thought I'd introduce it up just a little bit. Okay, so the principal, we have $700. The final amount, this is where I'm going to combine both the interest earned and the beginning balance all together all at once, so I go straight to here. So if I want the full amount, or $750, I forgot I started at $750, $750. I need to take that full $750, so I'm going to do 100% of that, or 1, and then I want to do 8% as well. So I want 100% and my interest of 8%. So let's talk about that over here for a minute. 100% of the full amount, so 100% of my 750, add it to my 8%, gives me 108% of the full amount. That'll say I want 100%, or 750, all of that, plus the additional 8% from the interest, gives me 108. Or in other words, I want to take my 750, so I press equals to make it calculate, cell reference by left-clicking once in the cell, times, change 108% to a decimal, 1.08. Now, clicking enter will show, hopefully, that this amount is the exact same as this amount. If not, then we've done something wrong. Let's press enter and see. Moment of truth, $810. There we go. Now over here, I have to cell reference my final amount from the previous year. So I need to press equals and reference this. I can't click and drag like I did up here until I get the second line. Just like I did here, I had to reference the previous amount so that when I click and drag that whole section, it'll keep referencing the previous year's amount. Now, let's go ahead and do it one more time. I could, those of you who are familiar with Excel, I could click here and drag it down because this formula is good to go. Double clicking inside will show me that I'm referencing the cell to the left and I'm multiplying it to 1.08. Press enter, get you out. Don't try and click out of it. I'm going to show you what not to do. Some people will click over here if they get inside. Oh, it's not doing it. Sometimes you'll cell reference outside of it on accident. To do that, just delete, press enter to get out of that cell. Okay, so I could have clicked and dragged, but I would like to get a little bit more practice in just so you can see it one more time. I'm going to press equals to calculate, do a left cell reference because I want this new balance to be multiplied by my 1.08. Reason being, I want 100% of the amount in the account plus another 8% of the interest. Press enter and we get our new balance. Now let's double check and make sure we did it right. That looks great. Now that I have these two cells good to go, I could even have I could have just stopped here on this one. I was just showing you on here. But if you didn't get all of these put in, whoops, Control Z, if you didn't click and drag all of those 12 years and you just put in that formula, you can also just drag that whole thing across. So I have my years saying I want the cell above to be added to 1 added to the year above. So it will keep adding 1. This is cell referencing the previous month or the previous year, and this one over here, this amount is 108% of my principal here. 100% means the entire amount plus another 8% in the interest gives me that final amount, and I can drag that whole thing down now 12 years. In fact, if I wanted to go even further, I can keep going. I just did 12 years because that's what section 2.1 part B does, but I know that in some of your questions it'll ask you 22 years or 40 years. So let's do something crazy. Let's go down to, I don't know, a bunch of years. keep going. At 74 years, we have that, and again, we didn't sell or format these, so I'm going to highlight all of my money, right click, format cell, currency, okay. There we go. At 74 years, in this account, starting with $750 at an 8% interest every single year, you're going to end up with $223,058.70, and so forth. There we go. So we have two different ways of doing that. That should hopefully get you started on section 2.1 part B, numbers 30 to 34, and on some of those 32 to 34 you don't actually have to use Excel to you can use it this direction and then just find the answer and type or write in that. Then on the life plan part, you're going to have to create your template, fill it in, and then attach it as your assignment. Well, I hope that helps you figure out the next part for your life plan part 2.